First of all, welcome everybody. I hope you have a nice evening, and it's a pleasure to see everyone here. So thank you very much for attending. May we have apologies for absence, Rebecca, if we have any? We haven't any? Oh, that's good. We'll move on to item number 2 on the agenda. Minutes of the previous meeting held on the 16th of March are circulated from pages 1 to 10 to be confirmed as a true record.
Chair, if I could just note on page 1 that myself, I wasn't noted on the minutes as the members' attendance.
Right, I'm sure Rebecca will put that right. So could we just say that we're a true record, and then I could just ask members if they would like to, thank you, if they've got any issues on, I won't go page by page, but I'm sure that councillors have had enough time to read them, like Daniel, and if there's any issues you'd care to pick up, we can sort them out now if anybody's got any issues. No? That's lovely. Item number 3 on the agenda, disclosures of members' interests. Have we got any? No, that's lovely. Thank you. Now, obviously, we haven't got any members of the public yet, so we'll have no public question time. Item number 5, petitions. A, to receive new petitions, and we haven't got any. B, to consider reports on petitions previously received, and we have one, and it's with regard to Makehurst Park playing fields and no dog area. Now, we have a representative of Northumberland County Council here this evening, Mr Neil Dawson, the Parks and Open Spaces Officer, and he will just give an update on the report. Neil, would you like to address the councillors? Okay. Thank you. I wasn't expecting to be first. Have you got your microphone on? I don't know. Just press the button and find it.
Does not matter. Okay, can you hear us better? Yeah. Grand. So we received a request for an e-petition in January entitled Makehurst Park Playing Fields and No Dog Area, and that was opened on the 19th of January. It cited the problem of dog fouling on the playing fields, the volume of it, lack of respect from dog owners, unwillingness to clean up, and the problems encountered by, particularly I think, the sports clubs who play football there. So the petition closed in February and gained 278 signatures. So there is already, of course, a public space protection order in place. So dog fouling can and does receive penalties, although I'm afraid I don't have data for how many people have been penalised at Hurst Park. And what I discussed the situation with colleagues in public protection, and I was interested to see what was involved in instituting a dog ban, and there's a very high level of evidence required. So it's apparent that that's a level of evidence unlikely to be met, particularly in the face of objections from sort of dog owners clubs. So I was advised that wasn't a realistic option. So the measures I'm proposing to put in place are additional and improved signage, reminding dog owners of the responsibility and the penalties, and also to encourage people to report. The dog wardens often get complaints of dog fouling, but what they like to get is a report that it's, you know, a chap in a red car every Thursday morning at 7 o'clock, in which case they can act. So it was just to kind of raise awareness on the people who could complain with a bit more evidence to enforcement officers. We also propose to host some Green Dog Walkers events where dog walkers can come along and sign the pledge, join up, get I think a lifetime supply of dog bags, and they're encouraged to act as ambassadors. And generally to raise awareness through the staff we have at the park, the Park Development Officer and the Hurst Park Revival Project Officer can raise awareness within the park and online as well. So the recommendations of the report are for members to note that there's already a public space protection order in place, to note that a proposal to ban dogs would be very unlikely to meet the evidential criteria, to support the installation of additional signage and to support the increased promotion of positive behaviour at the park. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Neil, for that report. It was comprehensive, and thank you very, very much. I'll just open it up now to any members who wish to ask Neil any questions. Ken?
It's my ward, Chair. What the petition doesn't say is that the area in concern is a fenced-off area. No, it didn't say that in the petition. Now, if you look at the plan, the shaded area is the area in question. And at the perimeter of the park, there's a footpath and there's ample space and grass areas for walking dogs. So you shouldn't get any complaints about from dog walkers. There's ample space outside of the area. Now, the reason why the fence was put up was for dog fouling. And every time there's a football match, the football teams, they'll walk the pitch with bags to pick them up.
Yeah.
There's no reason why these people should be allowed to be on that area at all. I was there yesterday morning, and there was 6 people and 5 dogs in that area at 9:15. And they shouldn't be in there. Now, your recommendations, it's not strong enough. People's not going to take any notice of this, what you've got written here. What they want is no dogs allowed in this area. Now, this area, there's 7 gateways into the, and not one of them has got a bolt to lock the gate. 7. And there's one, it hasn't even got a gate. What it's got is like a cattle grade to stop stray dogs from walking across. Big dogs will get across, no bother. But little dogs, they wouldn't. Now, what people do, they carry their dogs across the grade to get into the park because the grass is always cut short for the football.
I suppose I can only repeat the advice I got, which is that the evidential criteria is unlikely to be met to institute a ban. So on that basis, a ban's unlikely to be something we can achieve. And maybe then, if there's sufficient signage on the way in, we could encourage people not to use the playing fields. But you know,
It's not going to work. You ban dogs from the beaches. Why can't you ban dogs from the inside area? Not talking about the whole park. There's plenty of room to take dogs around the park. There's footpaths, there's grass areas. But because the grass is cut short, they like to go to the park. So I'm not in favour of these recommendations. It's not strong enough, Chair.
Thank you.
I think it
Ken.
should be fenced off. Locked, the gates should be locked.
Thank you, Ken. Eileen, would you like to come in?
Yeah. Is that on? It'll have a red light at the top, Eileen, if it's on. I don't think it's working. I've got this one.
All right, thank you. Right, we had a similar problem in Ridley Park because they were going into the tennis courts and the gates weren't getting locked and dogs were going in. And I fought and there's a policy in this council which stops dogs going into fenced-off sports areas, right? There was a policy produced because it ended up going into the newspapers that we had won the case. And there is a policy somewhere within the council which stops dogs going in any fenced-off sports area. There used to be a policy, and there still is a policy for play areas, and it got extended or it got redone for sports areas as well. Now, we ended up putting the lock, there was a lock put on the gate at Ridley Park to stop them doing that. It has made more problems further down the line because dog walkers want a dog walking area made in the park isn't big enough, but that's besides the point. I think the way forward for this is to actually have bolts on the doors and actually on the gates, like Ken says, and actually enforce this policy. This means by having the dog patrols in the area more frequently and actually start giving penalties out for the dogs. And as soon as it gets on Facebook and social media, people will start thinking, oh, I'm not going to take my dog in there. The only way you'll do it is put the bolts on, put more signage up, and get a hold of the policy that was produced here.
yeah, that's a policy I'm unaware of. I wasn't advised of that by colleagues in public protection, so I can look again And if there is a policy, which there must be,
Well,
and if it
I was
applies to
told there
football
was.
fields and it's enforceable, then I suppose we would have something further to consider.
Yeah. I mean, I was told there was one because it took me years, well, 2 to 3 years to get something sorted out because I was under immense pressure with the tennis courts in Ridley Park because the dog walkers just weren't cleaning that up neither. So it's just something to look at, but bolts on the doors and more enforcement in the area and more penalties given out.
Thank you, Eileen. Brian, would you like to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Neil, just a couple of searching questions. You kind of you voice your opinion around the criteria. The criteria also fits into the local community of how it fits in, and it tells you in the title there. This is a playing field, and for all the legislations and all the rules that were given around Newbig and Bay Beach for the band of dogs off there, it was about children playing in the sand, and the disease that you can get of dog fouling, it can blind a child. So the reality is, you know, I go along with Councillor Kane Parry on this, that, you know, it has to be locked off. And the reality is you keep coming back to the protocol of signage. People don't take any notice of signage because, and I'll tell you the reason why, we have got signage that will get fined £1,000. There's been nobody fined £1,000. And if anybody does get fined, it's put on stealth. So there's no call back there. The reporting, you're asking the reporting for members of the public. The reality is, you know, if you fence this off, there may be the odd time when somebody goes into them playing fields and, you know, there will be reported. But once again, we're relying on the public. And if you're not going in there and you're not enforcing that, them reporting systems fail. But also next door, you've got staff that work in the park there as well. So maybe they could go in as well and monitor that area as well. So although we're looking at criteria here, there's sometimes the criteria has got to take a backward step, and it's what fits in, what is asked of the people that live in that local area. And for on health and safety grounds, it's about the children that go in there. And on the top of that, it is about, it is a football pitch. It is so, you know, football has to go and clear a field of dog crap before a game is unacceptable. So let's have a closer look at this, and let's be a little bit more respondent in the fact of what the community want and the residents want of that area. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Neil, do you want to respond before I bring Caroline in?
I wish that I'd had you with that when I spoke to colleagues in public protection to better understand how the evidential criteria was met for beaches and why they thought that wouldn't be met in the case of Hurst Park. So I don't have a good response to that, I'm afraid. So there's more for me to find out.
But Neil, may I just, you know, just quickly say that that's not just affecting Hurst Park with football pitches, it's affecting a lot more parks where football pitches and sports activities go on as well. So, you know, I don't know how you're going to address that either, because it's other parks in in all our areas that people can walk their dogs on, and that the footballers has got to go and do exactly the same before they actually play on it. So it's just something that, you know, we could maybe take back and look at, if you don't mind, Neil. Thank you. I'll bring Caroline in.
Thanks, Chair. So I agree with Councillor Ken Parry as well. These recommendations don't go far enough at all. I believe the football teams actually pay towards hiring these pitches as well. So the fact that they're having to clean up mess before they even get a game, it's not the responsible dog owners. They're the ones that are going to sign up for pledges, take notice of the signs and everything else. It's the ones that are not responsible, not clearing up the mess. And unfortunately, to date, we're not catching them. So there's no deterrent there. So you can put as many signs as you like up. The reality is the bad dog owners aren't going to clear up, and we're still going to have this problem. So we really need to find a way to be able to a solution for the people that play on them pitches, because obviously it is the kids that are playing football, the teams that are playing football, and they're playing for the privilege to clear up the mess as well. So I think these recommendations don't go far enough at all. I know across in North Tyneside they do use like smaller barrier fencing around pitches as well. So there is other options, but these recommendations don't get anywhere near far enough. And personally, if I was paying for the pitches, I wouldn't be paying for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline. Anyone else before? Oh, Daniel?
Yeah, if you do get signing, as you've put in your recommendation, I would strongly suggest that if you get the signings, make sure they're really big and large. Because like the ones at Blyth Beach, you've only got 2 there where the dogs are banned from May to September, and the residents know we don't even need the signs now. You know you're not meant to go on the beaches from this time frame. So if you do get signages, just I would say make sure that they're clear and effective. And also, I do agree with what the councils are saying about publicity. We should be, I mean, I don't know if we are at the moment, but we should be putting out, saying how often we're fining people as well. Put it out there clearly on social media to make them all realise, you know, you will get fined and targeted if you're breaking the rules on this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Daniel. Liz, would you like to come in?
Yeah, just what Daniel's saying, in Newbiggin we have the dog ban in the summer, and believe you me, you can put as many signs up as you like, it doesn't work. I was on the problem this morning and we counted over 20 dogs on the beach, but there's nobody there to stop them, so they're going to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Would you like to come back in and, you know, maybe see if there's Neil that you'd like to address the councillors with before we move to the recommendations?
Sorry, Lynn?
Would you like to come back in, Neil, before we go to the recommendations, Neil?
Well, only that I feel I need to go back to the drawing board somewhat.
Yeah. I think that's... Oh, Ryan, would you like to come back in?
Chair, obviously, if you're going back to the drawing board, a little bit of help, work with the elected members. They have the knowledge, they know what they can do. We've worked with these things before, and we're only a phone call away. And if you can take, you know, Councillor Parry as a lead, he'll tell you exactly what to do on this particular area. I'm sure that, you know, the chair will keep you right on the People's Park, because she's right in what you're saying. Every playing area needs to be monitored and controlled. And I think once the message gets out, it's something we can work with, and it's something that our residents will be more reassured that we're trying to do something. But it is getting worse. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Anyone else before we... right, Alex?
Chair, you know, it's a little bit like antisocial behaviour. Irresponsible dog owners, you'll only chase them away from Hurst Park to somewhere else. They will continue doing that, allowing the dogs and not clearing up. The only way is to get in their back pocket, get the money off them and fine them. That's what responsible dog owners want to see. If you look at this petition very carefully, Chair, the petitioner is asking for 2 things. One is to bolt the gate, bolt the gates. You don't need public protection to tell you how to bolt a gate. Bolt the gates. That will not stop them, but it will show to responsible people that at least as an authority we are trying. I'm going to mention it, Chair. At Camas, if you had 20 dogs a day, we probably had 200, because we don't. However, I'm very aware, Neil, of the procedures you have to go through with public health to get these bylaws into place. Very aware. And what surprised us when, as a parish council, we tried that at Camas, it's not what people wanted. All they want is for the dog feces to be collected and took away. That's all people want. And can I say to all football clubs, and we said this to a football club at Wembley, not Wembley London, Wembley Camas. You're seeing people, it says in the report here, people are allowing their dogs to do it during games. It's actually in the report, during games. I wonder how many football clubs have actually reported a dog owner for allowing that to happen during a game. I think it'll be very few. And I respect those football teams for collecting 30 doggy bags, because that would probably the average number for any playing field. We need to work together with them. I can understand this is the best set of conditions you get at present, I'll be honest with you, Chairman, but we have to be showing that we're responding. So let's start by shutting the gates, taking Daniel's advice, making that signage big enough, and start fining. Start getting some money in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alex. Eileen?
I just want to come back on Alex's point. I've always been thinking that people should get fined more. We don't see enough of it. We don't publicise it enough. We have a problem on Blythe Beach at the minute. I don't have the problem in the tennis court anymore. That's solved. But if we find people more, once it gets onto social media, once it gets in the paper, it will start and deter some people. It's just having all them people to enforce it. We did train the traffic wardens up to deal with dog fouling issues as well. I don't know if there's any other members of staff that can be looked at to be trained up to actually give out a ticket. I don't know, you know. I don't know about whether they would be in the right pay grades, the wrong pay grades or anything, but that's another issue. But it's worth looking at.
Thank you, Eileen. Anyone else before we move the recommendations or disagree with the recommendations? Neil, do you have anything further to say, or are you quite happy, obviously, to take on board what councillors, the issues we have?
Yeah.
So, obviously, councillors, we've got the purpose of the report is to consider the recommendations, and it's A, to note the dog controls public space and protection. Note the proposal of the council to ban dogs from Hurst Park would be very unlikely. B, support the installation of additional signage. C, support increased promotion of positive behaviour. Could I ask councillors if they agree the recommendations or not? Could I have a show of hands, those who agree? No. One. Two. Those against? Well, Daniel, you know, sorry, did you have your hand up?
Chair, is he not kind of being given like a bit tough information? He's already said that if he knew certain things, he would have probably come back with something different, but he hasn't got them, have you? He's in you could do them what happens elsewhere, so I think we need to get away and kind of come back again, don't we? Is that right?
Well, you know, do we agree then to defer this until perhaps that Neil could come back with a little bit further information and perhaps look to see if we've got the policy at County Hall? You know, I mean, so Neil, would you mind, you know, doing that this evening?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
Are you sure? So is everybody in agreement with that then? And, oh, sorry, Jeff.
Thanks, Chair. Can I also just ask that we explore the possibility of how we would actually bolt those doors? How would we, you know, the time scale, who would do it? Is it possible? You know, let's come back with a solution that we can all say, yeah, because I mean, it's not acceptable. It really isn't. But I take it the fence is 6 foot high and it's dog proof. Well, so, you know, so we've got a problem because, you know, gates, the fence would need to be 6 foot high, really. So can we just have a general, how can we solve this problem report rather than, you know, looking at what might be possible, putting a higher fence up, locking the gates, getting rid of the animal grid, doing a proper job. Because otherwise, this is just going to go on and on and on.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you. And I think, you know, it is, yes, definitely it's been brought to the attention of the Hurst Park, but, you know, like some of the councillors have mentioned, it's not just there. So perhaps bringing back like a wider picture as well as this, because obviously this is, you know, this is an ongoing situation that we can totally respect the reason why people's brought it, because it is horrible, and unfortunately it's not the majority of good dog walkers and they don't do that. But however, we're into a situation where, you know, there are any green space that if people think they can let their dogs off, or beaches, it's just not acceptable. Ken, did you want to come back in before we close this off?
Just what Jeff just said, it wouldn't need a 6-foot-high fence. There's already a 4-foot fence. Are we adequate? There's any amount of room at the perimeter of the park to take a dog for a walk without going on the football pitch.
Right, thank you, councillors. I do appreciate that. So, Neil, we'll just let you, you know, come back at a future date in the not too distant future. We hope for to come back with an updated report. But do appreciate you coming this evening. Thank you very much, Neil. Thank you, councillors, for your contributions. Then we go on to item number 6, local service issues and verbal reports from Peter Bowman, who is the lead officer who's going to start. Then perhaps Ray could chip in, and then we'll have Mick call after that. I'll not forget you this evening, Mick. Right, Peter.
Thank you, Chair. Operation update so far for this month. Waste services, the residual and recycling waste collection services continue to perform well, with tonnages remain on the high side. National shortage of HGV drivers has placed the service under significant strain, with recruitment proving difficult in certain areas. But we are exploring other options, among which is training of our existing workforce where feasible, and to date we have trained 4 staff within the South East area. Demand for the bulky service remains high and is performing well, and we have made some changes to meet the demand, and this service is constantly monitored and booking slots adjusted accordingly. The garden waste service is up and running and is performing well. We have 753 new customers in our area so far this year, and we have now a total of 10,850 customers at present in the area, serviced from Stakeford and the Blyth depot. With still a few to pay, this may reduce just slightly. With regards to grass cutting, required number of seasonal staff were appointed, and we started cutting late March into early April. We are now on cut 3 and 4 in all areas serviced from Stakeford depot, and cut 3 in the area serviced by the Blyth depot. Start the grass cutting season saw a few interruptions in the form of wet weather and the Easter bank holidays. This made the gap between cut 1 and 2 a little longer than average, but the teams are recovering well. With regards to weed control, weed spraying has taken place in the area, with Blyth and Ashington around 30% complete for the first spray, and in other areas spraying of obstacles is underway and ongoing. Some wider area spraying and weed ripping has been undertaken, and the Hurst area does show an example of this. We have also purchased weed rippers to fit onto the front of the John Deere ride-on grass cutters on machines which can be fitted quickly and used where needed. And the county-wide information, verge cutting will start before the next local area council meeting. The work will take 2 months, running through June and July. Schedule remains unchanged from last year. We have 6.8 million square metres of verge to cut across the county, and we engage local farmers to help us get through the significant workload. And as usual, we will react quickly if we need to revisit any visibility issues due to regrowth.
Thank you, Peter. That was short and sweet. Has any councillors would like to come in before, you know, we'll let Peter relax a little bit? Or Ray? No. Yes, your favourite person coming in. Brian.
Thank you very much for that report, Peter. It was very clear and precise. Just a few searching questions. Around the grass cutting, well, firstly, what I would like to request of you and Ray is that could we have a monitoring sheet, so that as we go through the summer, we can at least monitor what's going to happen next, rather than keep, you know, chasing you up to say when's the grass going to be cut, when's the weeds going to be sprayed in certain areas. So if we could have that updated for the 6 months of the summer, and then a review again as the winter services come on as well, because they'll deal with other issues. The grass cutting, how often are we going to be doing the trimming around street furniture, and when will that be done? The other one was about, you mentioned weeds. As we're spraying the weeds around the areas, are we using the blue dye? And I know that last year you trialled some new equipment that would go along paths to take the weeds out. And generally to know what areas have been done up to now. And the other thing is that it's just generally to have an update of where road sweepers and what areas are being covered, because I know that there's a cycle there that's with the Ashington Town Council's enhancements, and it'll be the same in Blyth, that those enhancements bring in extra road sweeps. So just to keep local members updated as we go through the summer. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Brian. Caroline, ready to come in before Peter gets
Yeah.
back?
So mine's just with regards to fly tipping and communal bins. The communal bins, is that going to be, when are we expecting the rest of them to be coming into play? And also the fly tipping issue, obviously it's the same hotspots again and again and again. Is there a way that we can start getting ahead of this and getting upstream, because we're going to still be in the same position in 5 years' time if we don't actually start again enforcement and coming down on people and being able to put cameras up and really chasing down the people, because it's the same people who are they're making a commercial gain out of this as well, putting on Facebook selling pages that they collect litter and then just dumping it anywhere. So I just think we need to really look at that. So yeah, communal bins, fly tipping, and again weeds. There's certain areas that are starting to get some good growth on them, and I'm just wondering when in Ashington Central especially them areas are going to be tackled. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter, would you like to respond to Brian and Caroline, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Certainly, Chair. The grass cutting, the request for the monitoring sheet, yeah, that is something that we can certainly do with keeping an update for the 6-month programme to see where we are. The grass cutting cycle is on it's programmed for 2 cuts per month, and the teams do get around there. Obviously, we are determined by weather and things like that, so, and machine issues, staffing issues as well. So we do try to stick to that one as much as we can, including for the weed spraying as well. How often the teams are equipped, the cleansing teams as well are equipped with weed spraying equipment and can take strimmers out. So as street cleansing is being done, if they are working around things such as street furniture, litter bins, street lighting columns, things like that, they can and are expected to be able to do that.
Can I just come in, Chair, if you don't mind?
Yes,
The blue dye
you
should
can,
be used on this as well, there, Councillor. So on the glyphosate we use, we'll include the blue dye. But we do have another weed killing chemical that's called no mix. This is not used with the blue dye, but it is a good start off. We started the Hurst area with that not long ago, March time, and that really helped keep the weeds down, and there's a noticeable difference if you go around the Hurst. You can see that. There is a system that we're busy looking at for maybe work better for the grass cutting fires rather than the monitoring sheets that we share with the town council. But on the grass cutting side, I'll pass that information through to councillors and let you have a look at it and see if it would be beneficial.
Thank you very much, Ray. Brian, I'll just bring you back in, and then last question before I bring Nick in.
Thank you very much for that, Ray. What I will ask is that the main problem we've had in Ashington, and it'll happen in every town in the southeast, is that the main tranches, the main roads going in and out of our towns tell you how good that town is. So if we can prioritise them, monitor them and report them as well, because for myself, Newbiggin Road, North Seaton Road and Milburn Road were terrible last year, and it just took probably a shift of a team that would make sure that the town looked clean and it looked tidy. So, and I think that's got a mirror as well to Blyth. There'll be the main roads going into Blyth. We'll have to monitor them as best we can. We know you're up against it. We know that the weeds can grow very, very fast. But the thing is, it's how people portray our local towns. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we thoroughly understand that, because the main gateway is coming into any town. So we'll certainly take that on board.
Thank you. Thanks, Brian. Caroline?
Just the fly tipping and the communal bins.
Fly tipping, as you know, is an issue that's been ongoing. It's a hard thing to categorise and monitor. Things just appear from nowhere. You know, you could be around there one day, nothing there, go back the next morning, and there's half a dozen chairs done. We're busy working with enforcement on that to see what can be done, and there will be something shortly coming out. I think John and his team are looking to do some sort of door knocking and sort of, you know, love your area sort of issues that's going on there. The communal bins, planning permission is still to go in yet for we're busy putting that together for the rest of the area on the communal bins. I know Greg and Stephen, I was off last week, but they had a ride around the area. But there's also going to be some correspondence sent to all the residents, keep them updated to see what's going on, and do a survey, I believe, potentially for a survey to go out.
Thank you very much, Ray. Now, I don't know if you two gentlemen would like to go, or just go wait till Mick does his report and then you can leave. But thank you very, very much for your updates and reports. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been very worthwhile. Wait till Mick. Just in case he needs support. He needs support, you reckon? Right, Mick?
I've got a hard act to follow now, haven't I? Really, following a double act. Just a quick update for this committee meeting. All highways inspectors and maintenance crews continue to do inspection, fitting carriageway defects, making repairs and safe category 1 defects across the south east. The gully emptier is fully deployed across my operational area, dealing with cyclic issues and reported issues. Larger tarmac patching has been carried out in St Andrews Terrace, Ashington. That was a second visit. Raleigh Road, Blyth, and Tynedale Drive, which was a small flags to flex scheme. Drainage improvements have been carried out at Black Close Bank in Ashington. This was a second visit to the site to complete. LTP carriageway footway and resurfacing works have been carried out and are being prepped for Woodhorn Road, Newbiggin, which is prep work. Micro servicing and dressing at Rotary Park Way, Ashington, which is prep work. Shearwater Way, Blyth, which is also prep work. The regeneration scheme in Bow Street continues. It started on Monday the 10th of the 1st, 22. It's a 48-week contract. It's progressing well. The first phase is nearing completion, and works have now started on the phase 2 at Church Street. Waterloo Road, Blyth is 50% complete, with work due to be completed by mid-July. In other work, Milburn Road, Ashington Bollard refurbishment is due to start in mid-June. Station Road, Ashington Parking Bay. These costs are being finalised and the work will be programmed in due course, and local members will be notified when these dates are agreed. Finally, winter has, we all know, come to an end, is now complete, and the forecast and observations ended in April the 22nd. All the gritting fleet that does not have a dual function will be prepped by our fleet ready for next year. It's like it never ends. Observation of the forecast will commence again on the 1st of October, and we'll be doing winter services again from the 31st of October this year. Just a quick one in passing, I think I picked it when I spoke to a councillor earlier on today. If you know him, Alan Taylor, who's a construction project fund manager for me, retired on the 1st of April. His post being filled by Peter Davison, and he is appointed the role from next week, and will be backfilling his post in due course. So, more than happy to take some questions.
Thank you very much, Mick. That was very informative. Any councillors would like to have any questions to Mick? Alex?
Yeah.
Alex?
Chair, firstly, it was a miss of me. The previous presentation, I forgot to mention, I strayed on Sunday. I left Camas and I went to Ashington. And I went to Wansbeck Riverside Park. And it's a credit to Northumberland County Council. The upkeep of that was fantastic. And there were hundreds there. I was amazed at how many people were there. Well done. It was first class, it really was. Beautiful location. If people haven't been, I'd encourage you to flood out of Blyth and make your way to Riverside Park at Ashington. Mick, if I may ask, Storm Arwen left a mess. I've seen photographs. I haven't been to the north of the county or the west of the county beyond Hexham, but I know there was some massive devastation there. But it's southeast Northumberland, and what used to be the winning colliery, West Sleekburn, you'll know where it is because the refuge wagons have to drive up Brockley and pass it daily. Those drivers must say, one of those days them trees are going to fall on me. And know Leon Savage went a couple of months ago, and he must have put some hours in fairness. So it's no ways as a criticism, Chairman. He must have put some hours in looking at what's happened in the area. But I think we're at that stage now. It's getting a bit... It's been there too long. Now people are saying to me, is nothing ever going to happen? If you could perhaps try and see where they are in the calendar and have a look at that, because There is houses at the bottom of that lane, and when the storm first hit, those people were in their homes for 3 days with no food, no nothing. And nobody thinks in the Camas area you'd actually have a farmer, but there was a farmer, and he shifted the trees to let them families out. Otherwise, they would possibly even been there today. If you could just have a look at that, it would be appreciated. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Alex. I've got Kath coming. Mick, do you want to answer that first, or are you going to wait till Kath asks her question?
All I will say is I have to move that on to Leon Savage because his team deals with it. And I know they dealt on a hierarchy of approach where they did the dangerous safety issues first and then worked their way down. And it's an ongoing fact. I think across Northumberland, I think nearly over a million trees were taken down. So there's a lot to get through. But I'll pass that on.
Is that okay, Alex? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Kath, I've got you, and then Caroline.
Right, okay. Mine's about Water Road. It's just unfinished, but used to have 2 lanes going up, one to turn right and one to turn left. They haven't got that opportunity now, so there's such a congestion going up Water Road now. Is there anything we can do about that?
We need to maintain safe working areas for the workforce when they're on there, especially when they're doing the eco drains back up towards Waterloo Road. I would have to look to and speak to the site staff to find out what can be done. I drive that way myself most days when I do come in, and I fully appreciate what you're saying.
You're safe for yourself.
We'll see what we can do, but obviously within safety rules.
Right. Okay,
Oh,
thanks.
okay,
If you have a look at it anyway, just emails coming in and that, and it's ridiculous. Thank you.
Thank you, Kath. Caroline?
Thanks, Chair. So great to hear about the parking bays on Station Road. Just wondering, the pavements as well, they need to be looked at in some places as well because they're not in the best condition. And the other thing was about Lintonville Terrace, the road there starting to sink quite badly just beside the traffic lights. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Caroline.
Working backwards, Lintonville Road, I'll get an inspector to look at that because obviously these tend to, when you get subsidence like that, tends to be utility related rather than substructure of the road. But we'll look into anyhow and get that one back. The main area within the actual station road itself should be inspected on a monthly basis on a walk inspection by the inspector. If you know of anywhere specific that would need to be addressing, leave that with me and I'll speak to Ruben and get that done. Apologies for it taking so long for the parking bays, but all the parking bays are going to get done. We've had to go through an option appraisal to find out what's best, but let's be honest, I don't want to go back there again. We want to put something in that's fit for purpose, and it's the blocks in the first instance were great aesthetic, they look fantastic, but the turning action of vehicles just destroy them. And we're committing guys quite frequently to go back there to do repairs, which is the last thing we need to do. There's other things we need to be getting on with. So we're at that end of the stage now where we'll know which option we're going to for. Obviously, bitumen costs are going through the roof every day, they're changing. So we're trying to get that nailed down where we know what this is going to cost, and we'll, as soon as we find out, we'll let yourself and other councillors know what's going on.
Thank you. Happy with that, Caroline? Thank you. I've got Brian and then Daniel. Brian would like to come in?
Thank you, Chair. Just on the back of Caroline's comments about Station Road, we used to have a bi-yearly clean of Station Road. I wonder if that's something we could look in as well. Like it was to pressure wash the Station Road together with putting the kiln dried sand into the joints. So it needs a real good clean. So if that's something you could look at. North Seaton Road, there's 4 dips in North Seaton Road, which I have reported. I'm not sure how far it's getting through the process, but North Seaton Road from Senate Workshops down to Doves has had a considerable amount of work done. And I would like some reports back on that, just to think what can be done with that. My final point is, I watched the YouTube channel about Castle Morpeth Lack on Monday, and there was a presentation by your colleague doing the same role in that area, and he gave a great big reason why potholes are where they are and why they are. He mentioned square potholes and the whole idea of just packing a hole with tar wouldn't last too long, and it was always a repetitive job. And he said on that interview that there would be 3 months, and then it would be looked at the possible idea of squaring these potholes up and getting a permanent fix on them. which kind of excited me a bit, because what we need is longevity on the repairs rather than keep just filling them up. So I don't know where the processes are in respect of different areas, and I brought this up before, and I'm not trying to pull anybody down, but the reality is this is where the population is in the southeast part of Northumberland. This is where the biggest car usage is, and I understand the traffic controls that you're under, but the reality is there's going to be a point where, you know, it comes a bridge too far without permanent fixes. And on that same meeting, we had the leader, Glenn Sanderson, jump in just to tell whether he's had 2.3 million from the government to do C and U class roads as well as fix potholes. I was just wondering how much of that did we get in the southeast part to help you do your job. And the sickening thing about it at the end was there was two councillors complaining about traffic lights in their wards and the areas. The roads were getting repaired. The residents were complaining that there was traffic lights. I welcome the traffic lights coming to Ashington at the southeast part, because at least that way we're going to get the roads fixed. So I would recommend that anybody has a look at that and sees how the report went, how it rolled out, and the attitude of the leader and, dare I say, the two elected members about what their ward was. Because I've been round the wards and the repairs are really good. So I just needed to say that and get it off my chest. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Mick, do you want to come in before I bring Daniel in?
Yeah, will do. Thank you, Councillor, for that. The questions with the ones on North Seaton Road, these 4 dips, are they just undulations in the road that have become more exaggerated, or are they actual failures in the road? Because
the more dips.
More dips, right.
It's more the every time I've raised something, I would rather be proactive than reactive. So it's better to be aware of what goes on. But it seems as though it's every 100 metres, so it seems to be maybe a pipeline.
yeah,
or
as I sort of explained to Councillor Ball, it could be a utility issue, but we look into it and redirect it to where it needs to be. I wasn't aware of the video that you've been shown all these times. We are standardised across the county about how we approach potholes. It's like anything, we do an inspection on a monthly basis on the hierarchy of the network, the higher end of that. If we feel there's a patch that is a risk, they'll be patched immediately, and that is just a temporary fix. If they're done well, it should last a reasonable amount of time. It will not last forever. They may need to return to that, but a works orders processed at that point for that work to be repaired, because there may be a couple of small potholes which a larger patch is required. So we need to proactively do that. In the next few months, we're taking delivery of a new what's called a Pothole Pro, which is a JCB machine, which is going to give us the ability to do, a lot more specialised patching. The guys do it really well at the moment. You can't fault the work they do when they do the permanent patching, but we need to look at it. And as far as your final comment, Season U Road, as we've discussed on many occasions, I'm happy enough to take as much money as they can throw at me to get the work done, to work in the South East, because I've worked for Northumberland for 32 years. I know how bad it is in the South East and how it needs looking at. Trust me, I'll push as hard as I can to get as much as I can, but that's out of my control.
Yeah. The question was, how much has Glenn Sanderson actually given you in your budget as well?
Have a look and find that out.
Just coming back, just very, very quickly,
yes,
that the pothole, the way it was described was when they repair a pothole in that area, the Castle, Morpeth Castle area, they square them off, they clean them out, they glue them, and they put hot tar in, and then they're sealed up.
Are they saying they do that to a response, to an inspection response?
They just said that's how they repair.
I'll look further into it, because I've described how we do it. We'll go out, we'll identify it, a works programme we'll put in place. It'll be done on a 14 or a 28 day. We'll come back, we'll repair it within that duration, and a permanent repair, which is cut out, band sealed, repaired with hot material and fixed.
Thank you, Mick. Daniel, would you like to come in?
Thanks, Chair. Mick, I've got a lot of signs down on Rotary Way roundabout, on and around the roundabout itself. I've reported a few of these in the past, and I'm assuming that they're not getting done now because of the ongoing beach development besides it. Like there's the one as you go southbound on Rotary Way there's a lot of them, as the arrow signs to show you which way you go around. They've all come down, and I've reported them. I think they must have went down during Storm Arwen, and they're still just sat there on the roundabout. And I was just wondering if we could maybe have a look at them, and if anyone wants to come out and have a look with us, I'll be happy to show anyone.
Initially, on somewhere like Rotary Way, they should be picked up on the inspection that's done. But I will get the inspector to look at that area. As you can imagine, especially up the Spain Road, we've got a lot of signs down, and we've managed to get through them. So yeah, definitely, because it's highlighted a lot of rotten posts. They're rotten at the base because they lost the caps off the top and they fill with water over the years, and years later they just corrode. But it's a safety issue as much as anything else, so I'll get them to have a look around there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mick. I think that's your grilling. I think you've been.
These two put it in.
But thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope you all have a safe journey home, and you can go home smiling now, I think, because it hasn't been that bad this evening, has it? Not really. But thank you very, very much. Oh, Mick, staying.
Yeah. I've got 2 kids to go home to, so this could be better.
Yes.
There's evidence now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we'll just move on to item number 7 on the agenda, and it's outside bodies and making appointments to the outside body organisations. And I'll just read them out. Blyth Valley Disabled Forum, Councillor Kath Nisbet. Briardale Community and Training Centre, Community Association, Councillor Margaret Richardson. Community and Voluntary Action Blyth Valley, Councillor Anna Watson. Northumberland Community Voluntary Action, it's vacant, and I don't know if there's anybody on the floor would like to fill that post this evening. No. Well, it remains vacant, and I'm sure we'll get a volunteer sooner or later. But thank you for that. Item number 8 on the agenda is to note the Area Council Work Programme. Item number 9 on the agenda, date and time of next meeting, which will be the 15th of June, and it'll be planning only. Well, I suppose we'll have to find out about what venue we can have it in. So that will be sent out, obviously. And then item number 10 on the agenda is urgent business. I haven't received any. I don't know if anybody's got any urgent business would like to ask.
All I've got is, can you put me apologies in for the next meeting, please?
Yes, thank you. Well, without further ado, thank you very much, everyone, for attending this evening, and a safe journey home. Thank you all for your participation. It's been a good meeting. Thank you so much.